Yo, what up gamers of Report Arc, and welcome to my 12.5 ADC tier list. Going through the patch notes for this patch won't take long at all, because there was barely any changes, for whatever reason. So, first off, we got some Samira changes. Health growth and armor growth increased, our cooldown decreased, so health growth went up by about 6 per level, I believe, and armor growth went up by 0.5 per level. And her R cooldown became 3 seconds lower. Obviously, that's still gated by, being able to actually stack up your passive enough to get to use your ultimate again in 5 seconds. But, but that can happen and definitely will have an impact on her. So I'm glad I actually waited a day before making my patch notes video, because I wouldn't have thought that this change was actually that big for Samira. I was thinking of maybe, she was previously here. I was thinking of maybe bumping her up to like above Tristana, if I was being generous. But actually looking at her win rate this patch, it actually was a massive buff. I don't know whether the base stats or the R buff were more influential there, but currently her win rate is pretty crazy with Nautilus, for example, and plenty of other engaged supports as well, like Rel. Apparently even Xayah. Yeah, I can see why Xayah would be good with Samira, given she has 2 different forms of CC. Like their level 6 combo must be really good as well. But mainly with Nautilus is her most popular support and probably her best one as well. And her win rate right now with him is really, really crazy. He's usually like always been her best support, but right now is like when they're actually like really, really good, because Samira's actually really good. I wasn't really sure whether to put her at the top of A tier though, or S tier, because she is quite niche. You do need one of these engaged supports who aren't actually really that popular at the moment. So I wouldn't say this is the kind of champion you could just spam every game. But I decided that she is like really strong with many supports. It's not quite as niche as Lucian is, and so I decided to put her in S tier, but at the bottom, to reflect her nicheness. That being said, she's probably like the best pick you can pick right now if you have a synergizing support like Nautilus. With the right supports, she's probably the best pick of the patch, but it's not the kind of ADC you want to spam pick like every single game, You gotta make sure you got the right pick for the situation, the right support. Aside from that, we've also got just one slight misfortune change. So W passive move speed on respawn increased. We're giving Misfortune quality life buff. Misfortune now spawns with the maximum amount of movement speed granted by Strut's passive. So basically, previously when you respawn as Misfortune and you have W, your W has to like stack up, has to spend like 3 seconds without you taking damage to stack up, and then you start moving at full speed, right? Kind of useless, because and obviously you're not going to take damage. You could literally just press W on the spawn, and you'd obviously regen the mana instantly, and you'd get the maximum movement speed instantly. And that would make up for that. But obviously it's a bit annoying to just have to spam W every single time you spawn. A lot of the time, I was aware of this kind of thing, and I would constantly forget. And a lot of players don't even think about it at all. So it's just this thing that was just like making you leave base a little bit slower than you needed to for no reason. So this will help a little bit with that. I'm not expecting it to change her strength at all. It's just a very small adjustment that makes her just feel a little bit better now. Let me just see if her win rate went up at all, because it didn't check, but I'm not expecting it to. Such a minor thing. Besides, we're not even dying, are we, chat? Yeah, her win rate went down by 0.2% because this is a change that encourages noobs to die. For those of us who are completely unkillable, perfect positioning doesn't affect us. Anyway, yeah, so aside from that, I did make one adjustment to Zeri's position. I previously put her at near the top of B tier, or at the very top of B tier, after her previous nerfs on 12.4. That being said, looking at the impact over her win rate, it wasn't actually as great as I was expecting. So she's still pretty solid. But maybe she should even be further, like, not quite at the bottom of A tier, but I will. Yeah, her win rate with Triforce still pretty good. And additionally, her crit build has actually gone up in win rate quite a bit. So at the 3-item point, you can see that this win rate is about the same actually now. It was a little bit lower before. But, so at the 3-item point, they look to be about the same in strength. This build with this build. However, at the 4-item point is when the crit build really seems to shine, and it has a much higher win rate than the bruiser build, which just tells me that the crit build skills quite a bit better. That doesn't necessarily make it better because, you know, overall, Triforce does have a higher win rate than Essence River right now. But yeah, I mean, that could easily just be down to Essence River being cheaper. I would say the builds are probably about even in strength at the moment, overall. But definitely you're gonna get more scaling out of the crit build. So if that's your thing, or if you just like to deal more damage in general, it feels really nice. I've been using the Zeri build and it feels really good. But I don't think it's necessarily like heads over shoulders much better than the Bruiser build right now. Just think both are options at the moment. As usual, by the way, you can consider Fleet Forward on her. Pretty much everybody uses Lethal Tempo, but Fleet Forward is fine as well. I would do it in certain matchups where you feel like you need the defensive properties. Like if you're against a double long-ranged bot lane where you can barely touch them, you might need Death Sustain to help you through the lane then. Aside from that, I did move Ashe to B tier, to the top of B tier. I think that was more of a formality thing though. Just have A tier less cluttered. Also, that was before I moved Samira to S tier, to be honest. So it's really not much of a difference whether I have Ashe here or here. Either way, she's still like bordering good and mediocre. Somewhere around there. Pretty decent though if you enjoy that style of champion. Xayah. Can't remember if I should have been reconsidering her. No, so Xayah's still, you know, after her last buff, she's actually pretty decent, I think. Not quite A tier, but still definitely decent. And her DPS build seems to be quite good, where she doesn't actually build Essence River no more. Well, I mean, you can still do Essence River, but I think it might be just slightly better to do Phantom Dancer second instead. At least if you're doing Kraken Slayer. The build that I've been using on Xayah is Kraken Slayer into Essence River, or sometimes, sorry, Kraken Slayer into Phantom Dancer, or even Kraken Slayer into Collector. And that build has been working pretty well for me. I haven't played it since 12.4 though, to be fair, but... Yeah, and also, let's talk a little bit about Tristana. I've been playing a lot of Tristana since she got buffed in like 12.2 or 12.3, something like that. Currently, I'm back in Master once again. I decayed, unfortunately. I forgot to play my decay games a few days ago. That decayed me and demoted me from Master, but won a bunch of games, as you can see here. Back in Master again, playing only Tristana pretty much. You know, if you think that Tristana is pretty terrible still, then you know you need to update your belief on that, because she's pretty decent at the moment. I've now reached Master 3 times on her this season. I would say she's pretty okay. Anyway, yeah, like I said, there's not much to address in this patch. I won't bother going over every single ADC again here. It was a pretty small patch. Barely any changes at all. And there won't be another patch for another month, I believe. So yeah, it'll be a while before I see you in another one of these videos, guys. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Later, gamers.